Super excited for another update with Project Cream Puff, my Levin AE86 hatchback restoration resto mod thing. In this video, we're gonna get that thing rolling. Super excited for the first time in probably like 2 years that I've been able to have all 4 wheels and tires sitting on the ground. The first part of that is gonna hook up the steering. So another piece to the manual steering rack conversion is getting a longer intermediate shaft and the proper U-joint. So what you used to do, you used to go to the junkyard and you go pull the intermediate shaft out of the steering column from a Mark III Supra. Well, you don't really find those in junkyards anymore. So now there's aftermarket options where there's a longer intermediate shaft. And then you used to go and grab the manual U-joint. You grab the U-joint for a AW11 manual steering rack from the junkyard. Once again, you can find all those in a junkyard. It's really hard to find that now, but all these are available from aftermarket, and I think you can even still buy the manual U-joint new from Toyota. But we're gonna go ahead and put this in first. To give you an idea of what that's like, I've got this spare steering column sitting here. This is where the intermediate shaft goes. This is where it comes through into the engine bay. So this just slides in there. But you'll notice that slid in way too easy, and it's a little loose. Because from the factory, there's a little bit of a glue that holds it in there. So when it comes time to put this in, we're gonna use some silicone. You can also use like a 2-part epoxy or something. But I've always just used silicone to glue it in place, hold it nice and tight, and take up all that extra slack. So as it turns out, the steering column I just pulled out, this is really rough. Like, it does not want to turn. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna swap this over to the spare one because this one turns a lot more smoothly. I need this because the one from the other one, actually I don't have a key for it, so I can't unlock it, whereas this one, this key works for it. There we go. I also realized this is cut. I don't know what that's for, but I need this, so I don't know. Steering column is put back together. Now we're gonna go ahead and toss it in the car. It still sounds a little gravelly, but it's a lot better than it was. Excited about the steering wheel. This is something I've had sitting around for a long time. I think 2 years. I finally get to put it on something. It's a Bridgemoto steering wheel. I think it's like a JGTCC, Japanese Grand Touring Classic car, something or other, tribute. It's a pretty flat face wheel. It's not deep dish. So I'm looking at this and already seeing I'm gonna have to do something later because it's literally touching the that. I will probably install some sort of quick release or maybe like the flip up thing to give it a little more space, or maybe I'll order a hub spacer, I don't know. But hey, it's in. So obviously some of the stuff that needs to be cleaned up in here is I've got wiring dangling out here. I don't have any pedals in here yet, and the instrument cluster wiring is cut, so I've got to figure something out for that at some point. I'm pretty happy with that so far. Now that we've got the steering hooked up, we need to get that actually rolling. So the first step, that's going to be brakes and wheel bearings in the front. New wheel bearings, new wheel seals. I'm going to go pull the hubs off, and then we will change the rotors, because we've got to change the rotors too. So we'll do rotors, wheel bearings, wheel seal, and calipers. I've got a fresh set of reman front calipers, so we're going to toss those on and pull off the old ones. That's hand tight, that's bad. Both front hubs are off. The bearings don't necessarily feel terrible and don't look terrible, but we're gonna put some new ones in anyway because we have new ones. Spider webs. Oh, so there's some like fresh grease in there with the old stuff, but now to remove the races, you just use a punch and a hammer. I'm gonna get inside on the lip, right in there on the lip of the race, and hammer it out. Oh, there's the spider. Ah, that was gross. We're gonna do the same thing with the inner race. I bought these in a bearing and race set. So we're gonna set the bearing aside, pound this guy in. Before we grease up the bearings, I wanna swap the rotors over to get nice clean rotors, and then we'll do that. There's our hub all off the rotor. Oh, there's a spider on that. Ah! Ah! Now we should be able to get the new rotors and bolt them on. The new rotors just slide right on because there's no more crud. So now you got to get all 4 bolts in. And the internet tells me the torque spec on these is 29 to 40 foot-pounds, so we're gonna shoot in the middle for 35. Okay. Right. Now we grease the bearings. All right, on to the next step, packing the bearings with grease. So if you've never used one of these before, they're super, super duper handy and make packing wheel bearings very easy. Oh, this is gross. And that bearing is nice and packed with grease now. Let me drop one of those freshly packed bearings in here and install the wheel seal. Now we'll do the other side, get that one ready, and then we'll toss them both on the car. now that I got the front brakes done, let's talk about the rear brakes. Originally, I was going to use the Celica Super rear brakes because they've got a larger diameter rotor. But when it came down to it, like being able to rebuild the rear calipers was actually a huge pain. And there weren't very many parts available. They also used a really weird design to hold the caliper to the mounting bracket. They have like a hammered in like pin, I don't know, piece that wedges between the two to keep them together. I had those brand new AE86 GTS rear calipers sitting around. So the problem with using the AE86 rear calipers was that I needed an AE86 GTS backing plate, and I couldn't find a backing plate. But what I did find is this. This is a dual caliper bracket for an AE86 from a company called Okamotive. I don't know how you, come on, focus on the, right there. I don't know how to pronounce that, sorry guys. But it's super high quality stuff. I have been super happy with this. A nice, pretty machined piece. The way that works is it replaces the backing plate so you can bolt on calipers. And in this case, is 2 GTS AE86 calipers if you're gonna do the dual caliper bracket. I'm not running dual calipers, I'm just gonna run the single, but this allows me to do that. So we're gonna go ahead and put those on with GTS rotors. To put those dual caliper brackets on, we got to pull the axle off, pull the mounting bracket, put it on, and then put the axle back in. So we're going to go ahead and do that. There we go. Ran out of daylight and my camera started getting all screwed up as the light was going down, but we got the brakes done at least. I mean, pretty standard brakes. You can see the dual caliper bracket back there, my single caliper on it, but I am missing a few things. So like I've got parking brake cables, the bracket that bolts on down here that I don't have. So as much as I thought I was gonna have this car together and on the ground at the end of this video, I don't. I also, I don't have brake pads for the front yet. The ones that I ordered were wrong. So I have new brake pads coming in for the front, and I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do about the handbrake cables. The new handbrake cables are sitting right there. So I've got to figure that out. I was really hoping to have the car on the ground today at the end of this video, but it just didn't work out. Just too many things aren't lining up. Still got a few more things, so I guess hopefully the next time it'll actually be on the ground. But that also gives me time to get more tires, because maybe I'll put the Watts on with the Advan A3Ds that I have. So we'll do a mismatch Advans and, well, Watanabe 8 spokes. They're both 14s. But I've got some other parts too that should be going on soon. One of those is this guy. So this is a beam swap Koyo radiator. This is what I run in the drift car. And what they did was they moved the water neck over here. I think before on the regular 861 it's over on this side. They moved it to this side, so it's a straight shot from the engine into the from the upper water neck on the engine to the upper water neck on the radiator. Another piece that I picked up is sitting on the back of the 240 here, surrounded by other stuff. Brand new upper radiator mount. This came from Flo's. It showed up at my house in like 3-4 days after I ordered it from Ireland to the US. That's a brand new Toyota part. So that's going to replace the one that's cut on the car, because like a lot of times people do engine swaps and Corollas, they cut it to make it easier to get the engine in and out. But I want to have a solid one, so that's going to get welded on there at some point. I guess that's it for today. Next time, fingers crossed, the car is actually on the ground.